and welcome in everybody as we get started in this Saturday morning live and we get reacquainted with each other. I think I think we should be happy regardless of the charts. I think we should be positive. I think we should feel blessed that we all woke up this morning and we found our way in here together. I think we should give thanks and we should show appreciation not just for me or for you, but for each other, and start this out in a very blessed way as we go in here on this 17th of what is it, January already. Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Cold state of Michigan with like 7-8 inches of snow here now in the last day and a half or so. So ground's definitely a lot deeper. But good news right now with XRP. Following along so far, we've got to push past a couple of resistance areas that will allow us to confirm a push up in wave C. We have a potential gap area, but in my opinion, because this would be more of like a bull trap on the push up, I don't think it's as necessary to fill these down below gaps. Like around $2.02, there could possibly be one, and things like that, because we would run through it on the way back down. So I'm not necessarily worried about that, knowing that we're going to come back down more than likely, unless a fresh wave count started, which I would have to see it play out to believe it. But yeah, so at least in the micro though, good news. We're targeting that $2.50 area as long as one condition is met. The $1.99.7 is a strong support area that I don't want to fall below, but in reality, it's about $2.01 roughly that we want to stay above to consolidate and to configure this movement. So what it looks like is we would be in an ABC. Now, let me pull this out of the way for a second. I just put that on there for speculation purposes yesterday, and now we can speculate further because we're all here this morning. So if this was an A wave up, B back down, the C wave, it's going to expand farther than this. This was just an example. I think it would expand maybe farther, but that's just an example of like if we did go into an ABC, that could be what pulled us out. And if this is a C wave, I mean, you're showing the signs right now in the daily that you're trying to pull a hammer candle here. If it pulls up at the end of the day, and let's say we close tonight at like $2.08 and we don't push all the way out, it would show more of a sign of a hammer. But better yet, if we pull through to like 210, 211, we could put a reversal doji in here, a long leg doji, and that would be a synonymous reversal. Either way, as long as this stays at like $2, and I would be very happy. But I want to see a reversal. The daily is oversold now. Much better positioning than 1 week ago. Last Tuesday, last weekend, especially when we talked, we were talking about how this is just too overbought, especially for the momentum, because we're in a downtrend. So now it's at least working in our favor, that you might get a little bit more, skeptics might buy because they see some of these indicators being a little oversold. But we still have things we need to do. The biggest thing we need to do is I would prefer to stay above 206.50 right now. We came down a little bit, and then we pulled ourselves back up very nicely. And this is the kind of stuff we want to see. 4 hourly's trying to push up. But again, this first area of resistance, we're running into the 20-day right now, and this is a big moment. 207.69, 4 hour time frame. That's your first signs that you can continue some movement and reverse. Because what a lot of people are going to see is that we're below the 20-day, which, again, is true. But remember, when you get golden crosses and things like that, sometimes you come back down and you test the prior formation. Came up artificially, came down, retested, back out, retested. And what ended up happening here is the 20 crossed the 50, crossed the 100, crossed the 200, giving us the ultimate confirmation, the signal, and you're just like, okay, well, there it is. You've confirmed this breakout, back tested, fell under the 20-day, kept rolling, And now you have the 20 recross the 50. So now it looks like a bearish cross, which it is. But the moment, I'm telling you, the moment if this breaks back up, you're going to reform this golden cross in 2 seconds. And it's already have converged now, cleared out all of this gap area, cleared out all of these short or the long traders that took out longs down and got liquidated, or the shorts. Now they're doing the game. But now it's doing the perfect thing for me to where I think it can shoot up here to 250 and play out this golden cross. And maybe it goes higher. I don't know. But this is exactly what I would want to see setting up. So I think with it being a lagging indicator, yes, it's a bearish cross, but it's lagging. Like most people are looking at this as overwhelmingly bearish. And it's actually not unless it breaks down the parameters. So I would say right now we're in a bear trap on this drop, which will lead to a larger bull trap, which could get us back under at levels we don't want to talk about. But in the interim, it could also break us out to where we don't need to do that kind of stuff. So if you pay very close attention in the next few days, you're going to be able to dissect this with me. And my promise, like I always tell everybody, I'm going to be here every single day. We're going to break this down for free. And then if you want to get a little more involved in February and learn the psychology and not just crypto, but everything that has to do with trading, the human emotion, the fundamentals of money, everything that you can think of when it comes to, you can be your own investor, you can be your own store of value, you can be your own economist, you can be your own financial advisor, you can be your own, technical advisor, everything you need to learn to do that kind of stuff. You can join live classes starting in February, and you can go to my homepage to find out more on YouTube. And I would love to see more people in there. There's going to be 15 people in there right now. And if you want to join, you don't even need to go to the live classes. You can literally go and watch them after the classes are recorded in that area on YouTube, but it's only going to be available for that section. I was going to do it on a different platform, but I decided not to. So if you're interested, just pay attention to that. Moving on. So again, that 4-hour time frame, I think, plays into our advantage. Another thing that plays into our advantage is Bitcoin. Bitcoin broke out of a symmetrical triangle. So we talked about this yesterday. So if you want a descending wedge right here, you'd have the downtrending here. I'll just show everybody because it gets confusing, but we need to start to identify the differences between a descending. Okay, let's just go to the symmetrical triangle, which we're in right now. So let me just explain it. Symmetrical triangle, you have higher highs, lower lows, and these are usually bullish consolidations, especially the way it came into it. These are typically bullish consolidations, and that target can bring us out. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But to get into that, you're going to need to know what a symmetrical triangle is. And the differences between a symmetrical versus wedge versus so you have the symmetric, and the ascending. And then the other way would be the descending, and obviously, but we have the ascending and descending triangles as well. But I want to show you guys this in the best way I can. If I can get an image up here, it would be right here. I wanted one like this. So the ascending triangle, you have downtrending resistance, uptrending support. So you have lower highs and higher lows, which is what we would be an ascending triangle. That's not what we have. Downtrending resistance and uptrending support is a symmetrical triangle. We have a symmetrical triangle, downtrending resistance, uptrending support in Bitcoin, and we broke to the top. And then there's also descending triangles, which we're not in a descending triangle, but that would be down lower highs and lower lows, and it creates the descending triangle. So it's a very big difference, but it's very simple. A lot of people get confused in them. And then you have the wedges, which are a little bit different. It's just there's simple differences. So if you're trying to remember, why are we in a symmetrical triangle right now? Lower highs, higher lows, converging, making the triangle. If you have a descending triangle, you have the lower highs and the lower lows, and it converges into that descending triangle, and it breaks down. And then the ascending triangle, you have higher highs and higher lows. It converges into that ascending formation, and it's a bullish consolidation. So that's what you need to remember. It's a big differential. It's every single chart. So had this have been a different kind of triangle, it would have been bear. There's different things that you can get, these key signs. So knowing that we're in a symmetrical triangle now, and that's why we've had the target at, technically out of this symmetrical triangle, it could go all the way up to 108,000. And the reason why that excites me is, one, that's a big resistance area where we were getting rejected. And every time it would come back here, resistance one, over the top, held, back, resisted, back down, held, bounced out, broke down, rejected, came down. Now it looks like that's that point again, but that would also create, it's a cup. And once I put that out like that, I'm like, holy crap, that's a cup. So I feel like we're going to 108, and that'll give XRP plenty of steam to get to $2.50, in my opinion. Am I telling you to go out and take a leverage trade? No, but for Bitcoin right now, it's a lot safer if you're going to trade leverage. I mean, you could expand it out to big leverage, and I'm not advising it, but you could. And you could play the weird game and be like, oh, it's only Bitcoin, and it's not a big wide margin, but it's very dangerous. But that's the technical target right now, breaking out of the symmetrical triangle. And I don't make the rules. When a pattern comes in from a downtrend and it forms a symmetrical triangle, it's telling you the buyers are outweighing the bears and the sellers are becoming very quickly exhausted. And we had a fake out twice. On this candle here, back down, on this candle, back down, rejected, consolidated a little bit more to 89, 88-ish. Now it looks like we're starting to form, but just understand there's keys to patterns. And when I get bullish, I get bullish. When I become bearish, I'm bearish when I see it. I can see the patterns developing way before they develop. We diagnosed this symmetrical triangle before it even showed us that last down movement to prove it was symmetrical triangle. And then we also had it set up if it would have been something else, but it formed the symmetrical triangle. So what did we do? We jumped on it right at the bottom of this formation. So I'm excited. I get excited even if it's a bull trap. I'll worry about that when the symmetrical triangle plays out. Come talk to me when XRP's at 250 and let's retalk this, or when Bitcoin's at 108. Let's have some fun here. Or at least let's see if Bitcoin gets rejected at 100K where the rising wedge is. We got some room here, ladies and gentlemen. Best case scenario, we come up, because technically it could be 105. So we should say between 105 and 108 for Bitcoin, because I found a conservative estimate when I did it on this chart, and it actually brought me to like 10. Let's see, because this is the actual measurement right here. Went in here, bounced it out, boom, bang, boom. And I played a best case scenario yesterday. Bitcoin bounces up to this target. So on the one, it's 108 and some change. This is just so we don't get too big-headed, because we need to know it can get stopped down here at 105.5. This would be best case scenario. We form this, and then we back test the 200-day, and now we're back within the rising wedge. Although I can't even argue what that looks like. So we're gonna have to break that down, because clearly it's a rising wedge, right? So you see the rising wedge here. I'm trying to be more teachable in these moments so that you guys can understand too. Like when I see something, I'm like, oh, that's a rising wedge. But when somebody is new, so see the rising wedge? See how Bitcoin has a rising wedge? So if we can get back in that wedge, my argument is maybe it was a fake out here, and we get in here and we ride the rising wedge up one more time, and maybe we can get up to 135 and 140, and then we go through the little bit of a cycle here, then it comes back down, we still hold here, and then during the election cycle, everybody gets excited. Notice when the apex is midterms 2026, we get to 140K, right? Think about this. What if this happens? And this is my own conspiracy. So we do come back inside here. We trade for a while. Midterms come, big bounce up to 140, maybe an overstep to 150. Right after midterms in the USA, the rising wedge plays out. We come somewhere around the 59 to 72. What do you think for that kind of a philosophy playing out? But obviously, that would be if we broke in there. I could see different scenarios where this breaks down after a rejection. We come down here, and then building up the midterms, we come up here, and then we just can't get above it. And then we go farther. I could see both scenarios playing out. But I think the upward would be interesting as well. So I think midterms are going to lead us into some volatility to the upside. And I think the Clarity Act somewhere, because I think we're going to get one big exit pump, and then crypto is going to reset with the Clarity Act. It has no choice. There's a lot of new regulations that come in, and a lot of these shit tokens are going to go goodbye-bye. And a lot of our ability to trade with the volatility is going to go goodbye-bye. So we'll have to adapt, which we will. When you know the charts, you can't lose. And that's why the more people that say the charts don't matter, the farther ahead we get. So let me know in the comments. Have you enjoyed the technical analysis thus far? Have you enjoyed the way I've been presenting this thus far? And do you enjoy being able to see the visual on the screen and make your own, decision? Just a little bit of a different vibe this morning. Also, I have a question. You notice my channel, XRP Future Millionaire, I changed my YouTube image. What do you think of the new image? I think it's, and I used it for my video image this morning. I think it's on point. That's my new channel image. And I really think I love it. I really like it. If you like it, there's 59 people hit that like button. 99 people watching. If you like the little positive change and running out of the darkness for XRP a little bit, let me know. If not, that's okay. So anyhow, let's get back to this before too many people leave. So that's the rising wedge. So that's the theory behind this. And technically, if you want to talk about a cup, you can see the cup building all the way up into the middle of the rising wedge. And it's solidified in a different chart where you can actually see it. And that's actually a big resistance support area. So it actually makes a lot of sense to come up in there. Let's see. Good morning, Cannabis Podcast. Thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Nick, thank you so much. Nick Knack Patty Wax says, let's hit that like button, show our support. I appreciate that, Nick. 60% of you have hit the like button. Not too bad. Good morning, Dirty Train. I'm going to try not to go back too far. And thank you guys. Always enjoying it. Yes, sir. I agree. We'll look at H-bar. It looks stellar right now. Absolutely stellar. It's got a big inverse head and shoulder set up. And think about it for Bitcoin too. What if this is head, shoulder? Well, what are we missing here in the short term? Ready? Head, shoulder. Shoulder, head. If it's a double top shoulder, it means we're coming back up likely for a double top shoulder. This is how these patterns form. History repeats itself. You can't just say that this is a wide shoulder and a head and that it's going to, we took the elevator up or took the stairs up in this case, and we're going to take it doesn't make any sense. You still got to build the structure. Everything reeks that we're going to have a big breakout still. And then we're going to have a big drop. I just don't know how high we go up on this move if we have to, but it speaks that we're not finished forming this. And it also speaks to me that by the time the midterms are over this year, you better not be in crypto for a little bit. We're going to have to see if we get a big exit rally. I'm telling you, I'll be ahead of that, so far ahead that it's going to make our own head spin. We've been so far ahead of this already, but but we still need parameters to play out to get to where we want to go here. Like, don't get too excited yet. Like, we still need this to push out. Bitcoin's doing fine this morning, but it needs to get over certain levels. We've talked about with XRP. We're starting to do, but if you see this morning, we come below 94,200, that invalidates the short-term setup. That looks like an inverse setup. And then that might mean it pours out first, back test, and then comes out. And that would not be unusual. So we need to see which way this plays out. Just like with XRP, we started out saying about the $2.04, maybe all the way down to 201. I really don't want to see it below 204. But the fact remains 202 presents a little bit of a gap issue. But again, that should be taken care of on the way back down as well if we come back. So, breaking out of a descending wedge, or a falling wedge is beautiful. Back testing it is phenomenal. And then you start to build the pattern, guys. You tell me, with what we've talked about, what are we building? It's clearly showing a pattern, clearly showing us a pattern. We don't even have to guess. Yesterday, we would have had to guess. There's no guessing when you know what the hell you're doing, when you know what you're doing. We're coming in with confidence in 2026. Not just me, all of you. If you've been watching me long enough, you're no longer incompetent from other stations or just your own ignorance, which I had the same ignorance before I was able to learn it. We're all ignorant. Just if we admit we all start out ignorant and we need a little bit of guidance, we can win. And I needed the guidance and I couldn't find it. And I found it in subtle places. So I'm going to give you guys all of the guidance you need. So you don't have to pay for anything. But if you want a deeper experience, you can join me in the live classes. Or if you just appreciate the fact that I give you all of this guidance for free, join Tom's Army, send a super chat, gift a sub to somebody. You know, help me fund what I do here because I don't do any kind of stuff outside the box. I just do the process. Let's see. So again, if we come in here and we look at this, what kind of pattern is this for my audience? While I'm waiting, let's bring a representation. If you're looking at this, what kind of pattern are we set in this morning? What is this? What kind of consolidation did this start out? We have downtrending resistance, uptrending support. What is that pattern? We've talked about the patterns. We've talked about the different setups. What kind of pattern is this? Am I going to give it away? If you guys wait long enough, of course I am, but I want to know, do you know? We've talked about this consolidation today. We've talked about it with Bitcoin. We've talked about it with other tokens. We have downtrending resistance, uptrending support. Lower highs, higher lows. Forms a triangle, but what kind of triangle, guys? Nobody wants to. Hey, thank you so much, Joseph Euler, for gifting a sub this morning and being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Really appreciate that. And it goes to Sola Jeffy. What a great person to get that. Sola Jeffy, I hope you're watching. Congratulations on getting that gifted sub. Very, very influential person in this audience. 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Crypto adoption coming. Looks better. The other one looked as if you were a Satanist, warlock. Laugh out loud. Love your channel, bro. I agree. I know it was giving bad vibes. But the whole point of it, the whole reason I made it was supposed to show that XRP was coming out of the darkness, coming out of the fire. And if you just ascended with XRP, and then you had the diamond of XRP up at the top, you were supposed to ascend with XRP through the darkness. Like the dark is surrounding us all, and there's fire and crypto and around us in the economy. But that was going to bring us through. Ascending triangle, falling wedge. Yeah, everybody, we need a lot of classes, don't we? We need classes. And I hope a lot of you join. So, somebody, let me just stop busting your guys' balls here and just show you. Because we need explanations, you know, sometimes the visuals help. So if a symmetrical triangle comes in like this with the uptrend, and remember, 3 hits on each side technically completes the pattern. Right now, we're still early. But if you're coming in from an uptrend, resistance, that means if this is a symmetrical triangle, it's going to hit 12.49 roughly, and it's either going to break out or it's going to come back down to the support again at 11. So we could get some volatility this weekend where you could see a scenario of 12.5, and then if it gets rejected, all the way back down here to confirm the symmetrical triangle. At least that's what it actually, well, I mean, it kind of looks like a symmetrical triangle. Mind you, it formed pretty weird. But I mean, if you're asking me what it looks like it forms some kind of, it's like a symmetrical, like you see in this pattern. And you don't have to hit it 3 times, but you see how it kind of formed this? Formed a symmetrical triangle, but it came from the up direction. So these are bullish. So symmetrical, so basically, had this have come in like this, and then the same type of consolidation, that's a bearish symmetrical triangle. You're coming in from the up direction, forming a symmetrical triangle, which is a bearish continuation pattern. Because we came up in the up direction in the symmetrical triangle, see, there's a lot of different distinctions. One symmetrical triangle is not the same as the other. This comes from the up direction, hits the resistance, support, resistance. This is forming a bullish consolidation, a symmetrical triangle from the bullish parameter. We came in from the up direction, down to up for the rejection instead of up to down. So from a symmetrical standpoint, coming in for the rejection to start the symmetrical triangle and then forming it is very bullish. When you come in from an up direction and form the symmetrical on a support tap, very bearish. Bearish continuation pattern from the up to down to up like we are is a very bullish symmetrical triangle. It can be neutral continuation, but most of the time it breaks out bullish. They can be neutral continuation patterns, so you have to be careful that it doesn't fall out, but they're typically from the direction we came in, I would say about 78 to 82% of the time these break bullish. But yes, they can be considered a neutral continuation pattern because technically they are only a symmetrical triangle. They're not giving you any real clue, except you go with the trend when it gets into the symmetrical. And the trend coming in was an uptrend. Even though before this it was a downtrend, this is trying to prove to us that an uptrend is formed. And then we have a bullish breakout. So with H-bar being inside of a symmetrical triangle, you can get yourself a technical target if this plays. And we'll just say it. Let's just say it breaks out somewhere farther down the chain. And it might take longer. We might have to play this all the way out. But that would get you somewhere around 14.5. So from where you're at, you're talking about a 20-something% gain out of this symmetrical triangle. Especially if this plays out, how it's supposed to. About 21%. So not looking bad at all. I think everything's looking really well right now. What's the difference between the falling wedge? I'll show you a falling wedge. I think I can show you it on the H-bar chart very distinctly. So a falling wedge, you come in and you've got downtrending, so you have lower highs and lower lows converging to make the triangle. That forms the descending wedge. In a symmetrical triangle, you have lower highs and higher lows to form the triangle, making it symmetrical. This makes it a falling wedge or descending because you've got converging lower highs and lower lows that form the triangle. Depends how it's set up. Bitcoin was coming into it. Yeah. From a farther perspective, but it formed a bullish symmetrical triangle. They don't always break down. You have to read into it. The end of this pattern formed that symmetrical triangle from the up direction in the short term, which allowed us to push out. They don't always break down. Sometimes they're fake outs. Oliver, that's why I said not every symmetrical triangle is the same, and it only does and follows 78 to 82%, but they're technically neutral continuation patterns. It's key wording, but you have to try to find something in the pattern like this. Yeah, from the mindset, you would say that's a bearish continuation because it's in a symmetrical right there. But right here, it formed a bullish symmetrical triangle coming in like this. You have to watch it so closely. It changes like that. Oh, I understand what you're looking at, and you're absolutely right. To the untrained eye, because it was in a symmetrical from the down direction, you're taught that that's a bearish consolidation. We really are. But you look for signs that maybe it's not. Like we have a cup that formed even higher. That could be a cup and handle. We've got the retest of the rising wedge that we thought could happen. We've also got a symmetrical that formed. Now, does that mean that this is going to break out? Listen, the fact that that was a bearish consolidation leads me to believe, and this is the truth because we're looking at this as a bull trap, right, Oliver? So it's a great question. What if the bull trap just sends us back down into here and then eventually we break down? And then it plays out like it's supposed to and we just had a fake out. It happens all the time. All the time. So that's what I'm saying. Like, You read the pattern for what they are, but if it was just that easy that, oh, we've diagnosed a symmetrical triangle from the down direction, wouldn't everybody be rich if it all just played out that easy? There's always variables in the pattern, and you might be right going forward that this ends up playing as a bearish continuation, but right now, with the evidence it gives us, we're allowed to speak bullish, and we thought it would come out bullish. Even here it formed a little bit of a pattern, but as you've seen in the other setup, it cleared it out why it looked the way it did. You know, when you looked at it from the other direction. This is where we didn't know. When it formed right here, we got a little nervous because forming this pattern, yeah, we assumed it would be up because of the way it was setting up when it got over the top. But had this have broken down, this would have confirmed that downward symmetrical triangle, and it would have broke down horribly if it would have happened. Fortunately, we caught some buyers, and now we have to play the technical target there. But yes, in theory and by definition, without recognizing the back end of this, we would have absolutely thought that was a symmetrical triangle to the downside. There is zero question about that. None. Until it formed that wider pattern and it bailed us out. That's why when we seen that, we're like, okay, we got a chance. Like, we got a little more excited. I always look for stuff like that to kind of pull us out of the depths. Does that make sense, or am I confusing this audience? I'm trying my best to not confuse everybody. Tom, nice. Thanks for explaining it further. You're welcome, Oliver. You're welcome. And I just wanted you to realize that, like, how you were identifying it is correct. So, you know, just make sure that you don't lose that train of thought the next time you see a symmetrical form from a downward tug where the support is tapped first instead of a resistance tap. Because even with Bitcoin and the rest, or the way that they're set up in these, what could be bullish, they could still be a fake out. So that's why we need to get some kind of further expansion. Right now, we're in no man's land because we haven't technically broke out. We've got a few early runners, like we've got Algo that is trying to push, but it hasn't broke out of this pattern. In fact, Algo is an interesting one because it gives you a slightly different pattern, which is, it's fascinating when you start looking at all of these. It really is. So you see how this is set up? Remember lower lows? And now you can go back like this, or you can try to cut through this like a knife. But this pattern is one that sends you off almost in a different way. So when you look at it like this, now you've got lower highs and lower lows, but you're kind of doing it in a channel, right? So, ready? So now you're not in any of these triangles. So what's a bull flag? And then we'll look at something else. So a bull flag, the pennant, this is what we'd be in. For the flagpole, you've got the consolidation after coming up, and then you break to the strength, the upside. You're coming up, hey, kind of looks like a bull flag here for Algo, right? Do we agree? So now we're looking, we've done symmetrical, we've done the wedges, we've done the ascending, the descending. So you've done different kind of triangles. And now when you look at the bull flag, you've got to break out of this consolidation. But what does it tell us? Even if we come up to resistance and get rejected at 1375, we could come all the way back in this flag, but really got 1, 2, 3. You want to try to break out at some point. So the third hit up, maybe this would be the time, but that's what we're in. So this is technically a bullish consolidation. That's a bull flag. Furthermore, you've got an inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, right shoulder, head, super bullish. Now, is there going to be upward and downward volatility? Yes, but the sell in this setup would not be a good sell. You'd want to wait until this broke down. In fact, there's a lot of maturity that can happen through this pattern. It can be a healthy one as well. Because you can even say this is an ABC, and it's very easy to see now that it's in a bull flag. If I'm just being honest, it gives it a lot more credibility than me just saying it yesterday. You come up, B wave is corrective, C wave expands. And technically, it's going to be almost the same as the A wave probably, but I mean, just think about it. You got A up, B down, C finishes. If we're lucky, we could have started a 5-wave count to the upside, but at the very least, it looks like an ABC kind of move. Maybe it won't be that high. Maybe it'll be something like this, but you get what I'm saying here. So V chain's exactly the same, up 2.5%, setting up, well, not exactly the same, but it's set up in a nice inverse head and shoulders. What does this look like? This looks like a flat support downtrend. They're slightly different. See, every pattern is slightly different. So we've seen symmetrical triangles. We've seen the bull flag. Come on, guys. We've talked about this. What is this one? Somebody, please. What is this one? Downtrending resistance, uptrending support. Tapped it from a resistance point on the push up to support, resistance, support. What is this pattern for V chain? Also, another bullish pattern on the consolidation. Oh, hold on. My dad's calling. My dad is calling. Hey, Dad. Hello? Hello? Dad? Hey, Dad. Can you hear me? Dad, can you hear me? Okay, I don't think my dad could hear me. Hold on. He's probably calling about T. Forgot to update everybody on him. Nobody's going to answer? Hey, Dad. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I... What was his name? That's it. I remember him. He's the one who wanted to do the eye transplant. Yep. No, I shouldn't have. I'm very glad I didn't have it done. Because I would be on anti-rejection medication my whole life, and it's no guarantee it works. You're getting another organ. I'm very happy with my one eye. I like the way it is. Yeah, it's a great reason. But I'm doing my live, but T, his lips are a little bit better today. Yeah, his lips. No, I know, but his lips got a little bit better. Um, but his eyes didn't get worse. We just gotta. It's like day one of putting the stuff on though, so we gotta see how it plays out. But he's in a good mood. He's eating. He did good with the antibiotics too. He's letting us put the stuff on. So far so good. Yeah, mom was just calling too, ironically. But how's it going? Good. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll keep you updated with T though. I think he's on the right track. No fever or anything. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, oh yeah. I went there for years to see him. But they were always confused because my right eye is so good. So they had differing opinions. Most of them said don't do it. Some of them said do it. It just depended who you talked to, because they're not used to somebody's eyes. Well, it's not, but it's not supposed to go bad. It never formed. It got rid of for whatever reason. The keratoconus isn't in that eye. But yeah, um, but yeah. But I gotta go back to this live, Dad. I love you. All right, bye. Oh, so many people leaving because I'm talking to my dad. That's okay. Well, now you're gonna have to wait because I need to talk to my mom. I don't ignore the calls from my parents. You don't know how long you have them. So if you guys leave, and yeah, symmetrical triangle. Hi, mom. Sorry, I'm just doing my live. Yeah. His lips are doing a little bit better today. You can clearly see it. No worse, but it's gonna take a few days, I think. But he's in a good mood. He's eating good. He's been doing good. He slept good. No fever. Oh yeah. He just got his feeding. Oh okay. I will. Yeah, we'll be here. You take your time. Oh, you can show me when you get here. Yep. All right, Mom. Sounds good. Love you. Bye. Okay. So, symmetrical triangle. Yeah, whoever said that, you're right. To the ones who left, congratulations. Well, not congratulations, but thank you for tuning in. But I understand. I mean, it's a long morning too. We've already been here for 40 minutes. But I think it's been a very good learning experience this morning. Like I'm trying to take this to the next level to teach everybody about the inner workings. And then it makes it that much more, you know, maybe inviting to have live classes with me, because then you can take this to the next level for yourself. If you have a problem identifying these patterns, you definitely want to join. If you have a problem with understanding the market psychology and understanding that it's not just the market manipulating the little guy, there's a lot more than just that goes into it. A descending wedge. I mean, I don't know why that would be a descending wedge, unless it takes it from this way. If it was calling it a descending wedge, you would have to do it like something like this, maybe. I could see that if you wanted. I don't know. It doesn't, to me, with the, I don't know, because it doesn't actually hit a support structure till it gets, it's all about the way you send it and the way it interprets it. The way that I put this, though, that's why it's speculation when you put it into AI. So I always tell people you can get in a lot of trouble with AI.
Based on the chart you provided for VET-USDT on the 4-hour time frame, you have marked out a descending triangle pattern. Breakdown of the pattern. The upper resistance,
Wow, it would actually
descending
call that
trend
a
line.
descending.
You've
Oh, I
drawn a
guess I could
clear
see
downward
descending
sloping orange
triangle.
line connecting lower highs. More aggressive and pushing the price.
I don't know if I would technically call that, because it comes in from an up direction. I know why they're saying descending triangle, because it's catching it like this, and the triangle is descending, but technically it comes in from an up. I hate when I involve AI. Because technically you're coming in from something like this. I don't necessarily like calling something like that a descending, just my own personal thing. I don't like calling that a descending triangle. I. God, it's just the way it went in, though. Leaving a youth wrestling match. No, Dirty Train, you're not coming off as dickish at all. Because it's all about interpretation, the way we see it going into this. And we want to be open. We definitely want to be open, because these are small formations right now. So remember, we're projecting this one. It's not, there hasn't been any 3 taps. So we're projecting. But if they're calling this a descending triangle, technically, if you have something like that, I mean, you're calling for it to be a bearish consolidation. So that, I mean, that's interesting that they would call it that. But I mean, I can understand, because it's not extended. I don't know. You'll have to make that distinction. Because a descending triangle, they're basically telling you you're coming in from a downtrend on that pattern part. Now, yes, the overall pattern, if you connect it farther back, it's on a downtrend, but coming into this pattern, were we not on a little bit of an uptrend to form this? So I think by definition, you have to kind of expand it out a little bit and say, I don't know, man. This doesn't make any sense for it to be a descending triangle, to be honest. I mean, and in a descending triangle as well, you have a flat support. So I don't understand why it's calling it a descending triangle. I really don't. My brain is fucked right now because that doesn't make any sense to me. Because it's not, for one, it doesn't even have this doesn't, I don't know. That doesn't seem right. I think AI's full of shit right now. Oh, excuse me. That's true. It does consider. I think if this was flat, it would be more like this. I don't think this is flat. I don't think it came down far enough. I think it, then again, I guess it is the determination of if we consider that a slope up. You're right, Oliver. That's true. It would be distinction. You're right about that. It would be a distinction. We'll see. I'm still calling it a symmetrical until proven otherwise. Honestly. AI is looking at this from the entirety of this downtrend. I know what it's doing. But technically it did bounce and it's not a flat. I don't know, man. That seems weird. That seems, I don't know. That just, it'll get you thinking, that's for sure. Because we could see it every way. We could see it both ways. But it is based on the objection here of is it in a flat support or is that a little bit of an uptrend? Now if we come back down, maybe it'll clear it up for us like we're projecting right now because we don't know. Maybe this was a failed push up and then it comes back and hits it again right here. And then it ends up actually being something like this. And then it can prove itself as a descending. If it comes back here, then we'll know when it comes back up here. But as of right now, it showed us that slight trend up. In my opinion, that's a higher low. Even if you look at this from a daily, that's a higher low. That's how I got this. So you have a low. That's clearly a higher low. That's not a flat low. Interesting. See the difference when you put it into AI? What it's reading it? Honestly, what do you guys see? I know a lot of people left now while we're having this debate, but I would think more people would want to hear this debate. This is how you learn technicals. Anyhow. What else? What else before I lose the whole audience? So XRP, $2.07.5. We're still trying to see if this is the C wave up and see if it'll get us up near that 250 mark. Right now we're holding the back test. Almost looks like we're trying to build a small hammer candle. Bounce back, I appreciate that. And thanks for being in Tom Zone for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Says I like hearing that. Good morning, Garbanzo. 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Along with Dirty Train Rider. Shane. Welcome in, Shane. And safe travels from the youth wrestling match. Hopefully that went well. And yeah, Oliver, thanks for being in Town Zone for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. And yeah, it has a flat support. I agree. And an ascending triangle would have a flat resistance. So, I agree with your analysis. I really do. Daily time frame is oversold right now for XRP and the stochastic. Weekly's pushing up, which is a good sign, gaining a little bit of momentum. The daily, we need it to start reversing a little bit, but you could argue that you have a shoulder in the daily, a head in the daily, and a right shoulder in the daily perfectly placed. Now we're looking for this to either come up as more like a hammer candle or break up into a doji, long leg doji. Me too, Garbanzo. Oh, it's going to be so fun to go deeper into all of this. The cool thing is by the time you get to the technicals in the class, you're going to be so well versed when it comes to the psychology of trading and a lot of other things that go into just before you even look at a chart that you have to get right. Stick to your guns, Tom. That's why we're here. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you. I'll stick to my guns. We got to stick to our guns. Speaking of guns, I'll do one flex for everybody this morning. I didn't work out today, but sometimes when you don't work out, look at that. That's it's coming together now. That's been like 3 years, 3.5, over 3 years. I swear I surprise myself now when I see it. I'm like, are those my arms? Damn. So, dedication. Dedication. No Guns Allowed on YouTube. Welcome in the Canvas Podcast and Vado Damas. Thank you both for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Really appreciate that. But yeah, it messes with my mind sometimes when I see my arms now and my just the muscle definition. You know, I've been in the gym in and out my whole life, but this Tom, do you get 1 gram of protein per body weight daily? Probably not. I don't know. Just through my own protein I give myself, my protein shake in the morning with my protein powder, my whey protein isolate, unflavored, no carbs, no sugars. It's just protein, pure whey protein isolate. It has 25 or 28 grams of protein. I add collagen peptides, which is another like 15 grams. So that gives you about 40. My protein powder will add about another 8 to 15 grams of protein in there. So I'd say about 15 more. So, I mean, you're looking at, and your body can only process so much of it at a time. So you don't want to overdo it. But that's how I start my morning. And that's like 400 calories with the milk that's in there. And now I've been adding like a little bit of vanilla bean. And it's barely anything, but it gives a nice little flavor. And then I'll eat some meat. I like to eat steak too because steak is high in protein, chicken. So I'm probably, I don't know exactly the amount. I don't usually chart it because I try to eat similar. But I do go for things that are higher in protein. I would say it's got to be getting close. I mean, my body weight is somewhere around I don't know though. I could be closer to 180 with the muscle now, to be honest. You know, muscle weighs more than fat. And I had got down to 168, but my muscle level a year and a half ago wasn't like this. Then I was up to 175, clearly put on 7 or 8 pounds of muscle. And now I don't know. I could be closer to 180 now, so I don't know. Yeah, and I fast 16 hours a day, so I have to do things weird. I've been an intermittent faster for some time. But yeah, this is where in the morning right here, I could expect some downward volatility just to see if we can fill that gap out we talked about. So let's see if we do fill these gap areas out and see what we end up doing this morning. Because I could see a scenario here where we do pull down this morning, but we have to really see how this is going to play out. Because we have a gap. I know Nick talked about it too. It's at $2.02, and we really want to see if this plays because we should back test this first. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here because we want to make sure this move plays out. So we want to see this back test across the board. So 206 at minimum for XRP, maybe 205 or 204, maybe down to 202 even in that gap. And for Bitcoin, we want to see, because this looks like a head and shoulders up here. But if it breaks down and we get a back test somewhere around 92, or yeah, like 92, if this is a head and shoulders, because it looks like a head and shoulders formed this morning, which means that everything would back test. It's not a huge back test, but like XRP would drop 5 cents. You know, you would get some of these other patterns try to confirm this pattern setup. So maybe for H bar in this scenario, it comes back down into a lower level. Maybe we invalidate these setups. We don't know because it looks like a small pull down is in the making. It's Saturday. You could see this if it actually plays out. We can see where it would come down. But that could just be setting up like that. So, but yeah, that's what I'd be watching out for. So, you know, look for this volatility. We'll see if it holds, which as far as it's set up, I think it will. But Bitcoin is showing signs of that back test at 92 and some change. So that's what I'm actually looking at to see if that plays out personally. XDC with all of this, what does that mean? Well, eventually XDC is going to go on its own. So if these come back to correct, maybe XDC, but it is becoming overbought very quickly in these formations. So, and it's in a downtrend. So let's see what it's set up as. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe we need to reevaluate this. Hold on. For XDC. See, now that looks more like a flatter support. If you're looking at this, like that's a flat support to me right there. That's, see, now this, if you want to talk descending triangle, I think this looks like a descending triangle. This is a bearish consolidation. Is that what that looks like? You got flat support, downtrending resistance. Now that, Oliver, now that kind of looks more like a symmetrical triangle. I mean, a descending triangle to me. If we're talking descending triangles, would that be a better representation, Oliver? Oh, you're talking about from all the way to the top. If you go all the way to the top, I could see that. But if you do it in the short term, oh, you're looking at the 15-minute as well. Okay, see, I was just looking at it from the bottom basic, like the bottom section. So we'll see if this plays to the downside or if this plays to the upside. But right now, if you look at it from a descending standpoint, I mean, you're looking at the descending triangle. You got a flat support coming from a downtrend. Technically, this should be a bearish consolidation. 4 hours before, yep. However, you know, you got to be careful here because if this does confirm that this is still bearish, the breakdown is going to bring us, you know, a little bit farther here. And it's suggesting that it could possibly be a bearish continuation. So we've got a lot of stuff in here. The Cannabis Podcast, thanks so much for the $4.99 super chat before I left here this morning. Really appreciate that. It says like, share, subscribe, and become a member of Tom's Army. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. So what would you say, Cannabis? Or I mean, Oliver, would you say we're going to break out of this? Go tighter on the 4 hourly? Oh, go tighter on 4 hour, last 15 candles, bearish. Yeah. It definitely is. I mean, unless you're looking at it more like this. I just went back for the point of reference from a little bit farther back. But honestly, this is how it should be set up. If you're going like this, because you're coming in from the down. You got the first bounce here on the what looks like a descending triangle. Support, resistance, back down, resistance. Actually tapped it again for a second time as support. Now we should come up here and tap it. Probably at about 4-4, and that could be a seller if it doesn't break through. But we just have to see how this plays out. So, but I'm gonna go. I want to go make sure my son's good. I'll keep everybody updated. He had like a skin infection on his like around his mouth. They think it started as like from the cold outside, and then like he's autistic and nonverbal, so he's doing his licking, and it could have spread it. And then on his eyes, probably just an expansion of that. So he's on an antibiotic and a eye cream and a cream around his mouth, which it's looking a little bit better on his mouth already. So, and it's no worse on his eyes, no fever. So we'll just keep an eye on that, and I'll keep you all updated. But for that, I got to go. Pay attention to the charts. Pay attention to the possibilities if we do have a back test. But other than that, I think we're still looking good right now. I don't see anything that makes me go, oh my God. I feel like this is over. In fact, I feel pretty comfortable here that we likely won't have to go back and back test for the same reasons hopefully not, for the reasons we've talked about, for the fact that we'll hit that on the way back down if this is a bull trap. So it leaves some of those areas where we think we would back test, it kind of leaves you maybe not having to. But I can tell you right now, Algo is playing this bull flag perfectly as it's playing it. So we'll see. See if we can get that expansion. Be blessed, and